probably not get through too much, and we might end a little early, which makes sense. So,
sure.
All right, so I'll share screen. Cool. So a Hatch Outreach campaign. Two things left to do here. I mean, Eduardo, you and I already sort of synced on this, that there were 44 new activations in June, which is excellent, actually. And then, I don't know why this is highlighted, but I checked in with Craig around when we might have the updated spreadsheet so that we can do a final, reach out to people who have impact hours that haven't activated their trusted seed, since the spreadsheet is now, I'd say out of date, because many people that we've reached out to have activated their trusted seed. And he's waiting for the data from the last praise quant, which we all know is isn't available yet because of the what do I want to call it? The problems with the praise bot.
Yeah.
I actually don't know if the praise bot has been fixed or if we're still sort of scraping the channels for praise.
We're blocked because access. I know Baby is working with Rodolphe, and and since Griff is busy because he's doing the retreatment from the Gibet thing. It's blocked because Baby and we need Griff basically, like to either give access to Baby or he being there.
Okay, Baby needs access for something? Baby does everything. It's pretty great with every server.
It's for the spreadsheets, for some of the price spreadsheets.
Oh, to add the praise to it.
Yeah, exactly. And then remove the duplicates.
Okay. Yeah, cool. What I told Craig is that it's not really a rush to get this done. So when it's done, it's done. But just if you could let us know when it's done, so that then we can go to the list and be like, okay, the people who haven't activated, we do our last follow-ups. TEC Scouts, what's going on? I am not able to participate because of timing, but Eduardo, how did it go today?
Very well. Nate actually joined us, so also welcome Nate again. And we had a short meeting, but we basically we basically outlined running a test with metagame and OneHive to have a session to sort of start this scouting process. And then Shui and I will work async on what will be the things that we will present on this kind of session. We picture a kind of a community opening session where we are like, hey, we're a community, you're a community, let's like talk, let's see where this can take us from. And just explaining a little bit about in which phase we are right now, which is getting to the hatch, and just have a brief summary, even maybe showing the community video or something like that, to just like introduce the people who doesn't know us. And then opening the space for people if they want to talk about their projects or their communities and so on. But we're gonna run this test to see what's the feedback from these communities. There's two communities that already know us a little bit, so we can have a test run. And then we talked with Nate to see the possibilities to handpick some highlighted, like some past highlight communities that he may consider are shown more interest or seem more aligned or whatever principle we picked. So we can sort of start doing these sessions also in those communities that presented highlights in our calls. So we will have the first test running next Friday on Metagame open call, and then we will after that we will improve the presentation or the sessions. That's a little bit of what we talk.
Cool. Is there? I mean, I know that the TEC Scouts isn't a formal working group, But is there some sort of manifesto or mission or some sort of description of what the objectives are for the Scouts?
Yes, we out an agenda, and it's on Hatch Outreach. Shared there this afternoon. So in the first meeting, we laid out a little bit of the mission or the just the sketch of what we were aiming to. The first session was focused on understanding what we wanted to do first and how what were the things that we wanted from. And there was actually a thing we didn't talk much, which could be nice. That is on the agenda, which is asking community stewards or anyone else, like for example you or Griff, if there is any other besides what we ask, like for example seeking for proposals or letting the word known around, if there is any other need from the TEC that the community thinks or the stewards thinks that the TEC Scouts should be aiming to. But everything is on the agenda basically.
It didn't fully answer my question, actually.
Right.
I'm looking at the agenda. I see the agenda, but I don't see that there's, maybe it's here, concept. Like, is there like just like the mission of the TEC Scouts or the manifesto of the TEC Scouts?
Right.
Just sort of so that it's clear what the objectives are, and then maybe here, maybe here's what you're saying. There's some notes in here.
Yes, we don't have yet a manifesto, no.
Oh, here maybe. Mission and vision, be a symbiotic arm of the TC to be able to collaborate. Cool. It'd be nice to maybe be able to pull some of that out in terms of communicating what the TE Scouts are up to and doing and stuff. I know you guys are just starting, so it's probably premature, but if there is that sort of description that we can start circulating, it might be very helpful.
Yeah, I think it will be the intelligent step that will be taken after the first test, so we can sort of understand while we will be building the test for next Friday. I think it will be interesting to also build a manifesto to sort of have these things aligned, and then making it and having this clear before getting into another community explaining what we're going to do. So yeah, I think that will be achievable.
Welcome, Musashi. Just want to say hi. You're in the Hatch Outreach call, and you're welcome to hang out with us while we're here. I know that sometimes you have some audio issues, so if you want to drop any comments in the Hatch Outreach channel, I'll try to pay attention to that as we go along. Cool. I guess there's nothing else to say about the Scouts, unless Nate, you want to add anything?
We talked about it a little bit today as part of kind of the vision for TE Scouts was just kind of to engage new communities as they spring up, especially within the field of TE, and just kind of show them what they can use the commons for, just show the utility of the space that we provide for token engineers and how they can collaborate on different projects and stuff. And so really just kind of like giving them a pathway of participation, whether it just be individuals within communities or communities as a whole. But using that as part of like kind of the underlying mission, and just to give people kind of a framework of how to utilize the commons for their own benefit and really spread the word about how the TEC can help with that.
Cool. Cool. All right, should we move on to this POV? Eduardo, do you want to sort of share the updates from our conversation this morning?
Yes, of course. So basically, this document that Tam suggested change the name to Hatcher Handbook, which is actually more accurate name probably. It's a document that basically will serve as a handbook for everyone who joins the Hatch. It could be a tech engineer, or it could be someone who is just part of the Hatch, besides being tech engineer. So the idea of this document, we are on laying out the content still, but basically we have basic considerations, technical considerations, and resources. Basic considerations are generic things that you need to know, and that we have, at least I have encountered during the process of onboarding people, that people are not aware of them, or they just small things that people ignore about to have them before getting into the hatch. Then technical considerations, it's the part that it's the core part of the document, which is basically a small description of how the params will affect you as a hatcher. Tam suggested that, for example, in the case of minimum goal, we just make a single line explanation or a simple explanation of how that param will affect the person. In this case, if we don't reach the minimum goal, it means that you will need to start a process to claim your funds, like actions or context that will help the hatcher to sort of understand how that params will help them or affect them or anything else. And then resources, it's basically things as silly as a link to token log and all these kind of things that we should have access to in a single document rather than scrapping around all the documentation that we have. So basically, this is an easy to go document that will serve as a guide, as a PDF guide almost to everyone who enters the hatch, and a point of coming back in case you are like, oh, I forgot where is the link, or this is a document that can serve for that. Nate also suggested that we can evolve it into maybe a video or something else. And I think that's a great idea. And yeah, that's more or less the document. If anyone wants to bring feedback to it, it will be much appreciated.
Zep, we can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I wanted to say, like, I would like to participate on writing a bit on how those the params chosen affect the hatcher, basically. And yeah, if we do videos, that would be super fun too. I don't know for when we have to go get ready, but when we distribute the params we are going to write on, I could take some.
We are aiming to have it ready by Friday, and the technical part is we talked about Nate, and basically also Tam suggested that go one by one of the params, not just the main ones, just all of them. So we are working on this living document. So whenever you have time from here to Friday, if you want to just work in the document, we'll all be seeing it. So you can just highlight the params that you want to work on and just right there, and then we can sort of make a small session to find coherence in between the tone and everything else.
Yeah.
Sorry. Eduardo shared with me the legal terms, the Hatch proposals. I just dropped it in the Hatch Outreach channel, just so anyone who works on it knows sort of what the starting point was. Zep, if you want to have a look at that. And cool. Yeah, just to be super clear about what I'm suggesting is that, as we look at these, the question is, does this have, like, me as a hatcher, does it matter to me? And minimum goal doesn't really matter, except what happens if we don't reach minimum goal? Then suddenly I have an action I have to take, or I have to be aware that I'm going to receive funds back or how to do it. And hatch tribute. So it sort of feels like if we go through these one by one, we can make sure we hit each one and how it applies to the hatcher. And we definitely should have this ready before the hatch. So I don't know if this Friday was the goal for at least a good first draft, or what was your thinking in terms of timing to have? We could also, just to be clear, we could have something that's sort of like the first version that's really basic but ready to go, and then have addendums to that version, that we can sort of build on it later, but at least have the core Hatcher handbook. Here are the parameters, here are the legal considerations. That's the skeleton for what we really need. And then we can add things on top of that.
Yeah, the aim is to have the draft by Friday, but not a draft.
This Friday?
Yeah, this is what we have. What the link that I'm open is just it's not even a draft. That doesn't count as a draft. So this
is a draft.
Yeah, this only makes sense to me. So anyway, okay. Yes. So all hopefully by Friday we could have most of this filled.
But on these technical things, we are seeing some, for example, the exit tribute. That's something for the commons upgrade, not for the hatch.
That the Hatch tribute.
No, it was Exit Tribute.
Oh, where is that?
Oh, maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, this should be Hatch.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, and that's maybe another reason I dropped these links in here, just so we can go sort of like just see exactly what they are and go one by one through them. The membership ratio, what does that mean to me? Well, it means that this is how much my I have to know my CSTK score to know what is the total amount of funds I can participate in the Hatch with. Cool. All right.
Would it be
excellent.
worth on this document? Would it be worth to also talk about like the cultural, like it's a cultural, I don't know the word, but like what the community wants to do is actually built on a commons, and there are other parameters in there that being built. So it would be worse on this document just to at least mention it, and so people know it. I mean, I know everyone who is going to put money there is aware of it, but yeah, it might be worth, I think.
You mean like the intention of how we got here, like the voting for mission value? You mean this, or you mean something else?
No, it's more technical. I mean, it's like we are going to go on a bonding curve. Like there is going to be like vested talk. I mean, maybe not. We still have to vote it, but there are going to be a lot of decisions after the hatch that are also going to affect the hatch at some point, because what if they have to accept when they are putting money, maybe their tokens are going to be locked. Who knows? Maybe 1 year, 2 years, 4 years, 10 years. We don't know. Maybe 1 month, but. The thing is, we have to vote on these things, and just make people be aware of what could happen.
Yes, a little of that is in the document that is in the PDF that I just dropped in Hatch Outreach. So from the legal perspective, there was like, hey, there could be a bug in the code and all of the funds could disappear. Or, hey, those sort of, and I think when Eduardo and I was talking, he sort of included that as alternate scenarios. But yeah, super, super important too. I actually like the idea. I was thinking you were saying something else about the cultural aspects, which is I think it's really quite nice actually to say, you're a hatcher, here's our MVB. Here's our culture. So there's the technical considerations, but there's also cultural aspects. I actually think that's a really important part of being a hatcher. So I'm going to just drop it as a suggestion that you're making. Is that okay for Eduardo, you and?
Yes, of course. Thank you.
I was also thinking about, are we going to include this as a PDF on the Hatch page, the Hatch homepage? And if so, should we include a checklist of things that need to be done and things to look keep an eye out for in terms of the commons upgrade parameters and stuff like that?
Yep. So how to know when your decision is needed. Stuff like that. Yeah, that's not a bad idea actually, because as a hatcher, some of your sort of the cultural considerations is you can participate if you want to. You don't have to, but you can participate if you want. And how would you need to stay on top of that if you're not in our Discord and following us on Twitter and all of those places that we really amplify when decisions are needed? Okay, those are great ideas. Seems like the three of you are really good team to work on this together. Does everyone feel okay with the idea of a Hatcher handbook instead of point of view of a Hatcher?
Yeah, I like that. And then, I think a checklist would be really nice too, just because, if you have somebody who hasn't been paying attention but does want to participate in the hatch and is a hatcher, to have just kind of these are the broad things that you need to make sure you do, and this is the things to look out for if you're participating, and just kind of give them a one document that has all the information they'll ever need. But are we able to actually put it onto the TEC Hatch page where they're donating, upload a PDF file to that for download?
Sure, I don't see why not. It's just a link, right?
Yeah. Who would we talk to about that?
I mean, we might want to put it on our GitHub. and then link to our GitHub. Gitbook.
Well,
Not
so
GitHub,
so that's
Gitbook.
the thing, is like most of our information that we are putting on here is already existent on the Gitbook, either through the Hacker 101 section. But I was just thinking if there was a document that they could utilize or download, it might be nice, but I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah. Most of the things are here on the Gitbook, aren't they? Probably this was the most important one that's not there. They're like, how do the parameters affect me?
Yeah.
Is not exact, is the sort of where this came from. Like that was the origin for creating this. And I would still maybe say we focus on this as the core and have that ready for ASAP. And then all these other sort of nice to haves can build on top of this.
Okay.
And if they are in Handbook already, then it's somehow we can sort of merge these two together. Like have one plate, like the Hatcher Handbook on Gitbook, and then linking to other places on Gitbook, and then whatever additional content would go directly for just the Hatcher Handbook.
Yeah, because most of the technical specifications are kind of dispersed throughout the forum, and so it's kind of hard to find. So having a solid spot for that is good. So we could put that into the Gitbook itself rather than a document.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, I think that sorry, there's a bit of an echo. Now that we're discussing it, I think the Gitbook would be a really nice place for this actually. Versus a separate document, which is difficult to maintain and to share.
Okay, that sounds good.
Zep and Nate, do you have access to this document so you could jump in and start?
Yeah, me and Edu went over it yesterday and talked about. So I've already worked on some of the technical stuff.
I never been in, so yeah,
I'll
just
see you.
I'll sync with Edu and ask him access.
Craig, I shared information that you shared with me earlier about updating the column for activated membership is pending the final PQ from the praise quant from the previous praise quant. So whenever that is finished, then we can do our, or basically the most important thing is essentially when it is updated, and it's not a huge rush on this, but when it is updated, then we can go back and reach out to the people that haven't activated for the final time. I don't know if you want to share anything on that. I see you're unmuted, but I can't hear you. Okay.
Yeah, neither do I.
Okay. All right, cool. Should we move into the working group closing doc?
Yes.
What would you like to share, Eduardo?
Oh, sorry. I'm off guard completely. Sorry, everyone. So the closing document, it went through review by Tam and also transparency. We had on the call on Monday review where we incorporated feedback. Actually, your last note, Tam, is because it was part of the feedback that was given by transparency. Your last annotation on the document. So basically, this document, if we walk through it, it's basically a document that serves as not only accountability but transparency and understanding of where it started and where it ended and what happened in between. So this document summarizes the highlights or the things that were relevant to know about this working group. Also, it brings feedback to practices and understanding what part of our practices needed to be improved or what things we learned from our practices in order for maybe another working groups to learn about it. And it turned out a little bit longer than I expected. But yeah, I think it's the draft is very close to finished. I will incorporate the feedback that Tam provided. Yeah, I think it's, if no one else brings any other changes or suggestions, that will be very close to the finished document.
Maybe we could just talk about it, because I wasn't quite sure what we were referring to.
Yes.
For example, so things we could learn and notes for other working groups.
Yes.
So a deeper connection with comms. The message we send to Hatch proposals should be aligned with our messaging on Medium, Discord, and Telegram, and on calls. Are there, it's like, where wasn't this the case, or where could we be more specific so we could figure out how sort of analyze what went wrong and how we could do that better? Nothing jumped at me immediately when I read this.
Yeah. In this case, I didn't fill it out because I have to dig it for the examples. But basically, it's about the times we did the onboarding sessions, and for example, we didn't have Medium articles or Discords, or for example, when we lay out the outreach now about the impact hours on the voting, I felt that at some point comms was not clear about our intention about reaching out to people about voting and stuff. So Twitter, it was communicated about voting, but then I didn't feel the timings of the timings on how we communicated were sync. I think we were a little bit off sync. So there were Twitter actions, for example, but in Discord or in Telegram channels, I didn't see in the common stack any trusted seed kind of message. I didn't see in TTE comments any message regarding this process. So I felt we were just a little bit on sync on certain practices, but it was nothing wrong. It's just the timing of the working groups. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess what I'm looking for is how can we concretely bring an action into the learnings, right? The learnings is now what can we concretely do? So I feel like it's always a little, yeah.
For me, the learning of this is when you do an action that incorporates the spectrum of another working group, make sure that both are synced on the call previously to the action that's going to be taken. So that for me, it's one of the things that I will have done differently. I will have probably gone to the comms before starting the Hatch Outreach campaign and explain them through what we're going to do. So if they are receiving messages on Twitter about us reaching them out, they will know what to answer. So, these kind of things.
Okay. I think generally where the groups all sync with each other is in the Steward's call. And that's probably where the information was disseminated. And then, working with Ivy to do the Twitter campaigns as well to match the outreach campaign and Hatch Your Outreach. But cool. It'd be great for you to just list any of the specifics that you have that you'd like to highlight can be done better.
Will do.
Thanks for that. And maybe here too, engagement with comms. I guess what the big takeaway that you have here is more comms Hatch Your Outreach engagement.
Yeah, I mean, in the one that says foster engagement with comms, it was more tackled towards the beginning of the Hatch Outreach working group, not at the latest stages. But at the beginning, we were not I felt we were not we didn't. It's the same thing that I post about the forum. We didn't actually make sure to make a strategy with comms on how to make the forum more engageable for the people who were coming and being onboarded, and from the Twitter going to the forum and so on. So it was more about the beginning when the forum was called as one of the first points of contact and one of the first spots to sort of bring the community together. But yeah, so it was more about, hey, if you are gonna take an action towards a communication platform, make sure that the strategy from the beginning is considering comms or the working group dedicated to communication too. It could happen to legal. Legal, it's putting out this document. So at the beginning, they will make sure that they talk it with comms so they can sync and post it on the platforms that are related to comms. So it's about this kind of things.
Okay, I guess it's never a bad idea to make sure comms knows what's going on. I don't have the same impression that you do. That's all. I do have a different impression of it. But at the end of the day, it's also always a great idea to make sure comms is well informed of what's going on in every working group, because it's their,
I mean, at the moment that now that I will begin for the samples, we can see how clearly it is, and if it is not, I will take it. I will just tone it down.
Cool. I'm very impressed by your setup, Craig. What happened to where's the you got your own office? This is cool. This is fantastic. No, yeah, we can hear you now. No more, what is it called, garage?
I am in my office. Yeah. And I did hear you earlier, and yes, the answer is yes.
All right, we've hit the end of our agenda. Is there anything else that we want to talk about in this today? I don't know if we have a real timing for closing our working group. I feel like maybe that's probably towards the close of the hatch, mid to close of the hatch makes probably the most sense. And this is sort of slowly evolving into the TEC Scouts anyway, doesn't it seem?
I will suggest to sort of on the last sprint before the I mean, not the latest sprint before the hatch, but in that date before launching, latest community call probably, or something like that before the hatch, we can sort of do this closure.
Cool. All right. Welcome, Zuri. Would you like to introduce yourself? You're on the Hatch Outreach Working Group Weekly. I see that you've unmuted, but it's I'm not able to hear you right now.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, great. So, I'm really interested in what tech is doing, and also the common stack. And I'm listening to all your discussions, like to get a better understanding of what you guys are doing here. Yeah, so I'm a telecom engineer, also a creative person, be in one hive, into DeFi, blah blah blah.
Cool. Welcome. It's nice that you joined us. If it's not on your radar already, tomorrow at 8 p.m. CET is our community call. And I've seen you around a little on our Telegram and in our Discord, so I think you're getting well acclimated with how we do things. But the community call is probably the best first session to join, or the best session to join, to see what every working group is doing.
Okay. It's not my first time here.
But you're welcome to join any of our meetings.
I'm spying all the time. It's not my first time here.
Yeah.
I think.
Cool. Yeah, I've seen you make some posts and interact.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Would anyone, Eduardo, Craig, Nate, Zep, like to talk about anything else, or we can close this meeting for today?
For me, it's fine.